Okay, so at the top of a new clean page, you should have the title, Wonder, Part 6, Chapters 1 through 4. Wonder Part 6, Chapters 1 through 4. And today's date, November 20th, 2020. Why is that out of your, why would you choose a page that's not still here? Save, you're going to have to rewrite it. So save this part to rewrite Wonder Part 5. And then start Wonder Part 6 here. So you're going to have to rewrite this here. No, just save it. Just change it. You just leave it. Pages to get ripped out. Doing it how you do it. Just move it like this, so then the pages won't get ripped out. Okay, we're going to start with number 1. We will have 2 words today. Zadie, these are your words, so make sure that you are copying them exactly as they appear, just like every other day. Number 1 is the word observation. Observation. O-B-S-E-R-V-A-T-I-O-N. Observation. O-B-S-E-R-V-A-T-I-O-N. Observation. An observation is a noun. It's a thing or an idea. And it is the act of noticing something. Observation is a noun. It is the act of noticing something. So if you make an observation, it means that you have noticed something. So observation, O-B-S-E-R-V-A-T-I-O-N, is a noun, and it is the act of noticing something. Here is the word in context, so make sure you're listening for this. I told Mom and Dad about it later when we were walking home, and they thought it was a funny observation. So that means someone has noticed something. Who was that person? And what did they notice? What was their observation? Be listening for that as we read. Number 2 is the word cringe. 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 C-R-I-N-G-E. Cringe. Cringe. C-R-I-N-G-E. Cringe is a verb. So it is an action. It is a verb. And it means to crouch or sink back. So it means you're kind of like this. In disgust or embarrassment. So if you do this thing where you kind of like crouch or like sink back in your chair because of disgust or embarrassment, that is to cringe. Cringe, C-R-I-N-G-E. It is a verb. It means to crouch or sink back in disgust or embarrassment. A synonym, which means a word that means the same thing, is the word wince. So if you wince, you do the same thing. Yes, Aaron.
What do you spell
Embarrassment. E-M-B-A-R-R-A-S-S-M-E-N-T. Embarrassment. And the synonym is wince. So if you hear wince, you know they're doing the same thing. That's like out of disgust or embarrassment. Anybody need me to spell any of these words? Yes, Zadie. Wince. W-I-N-C-E. Wince. Zadie?
I think I got the word right, but right after sink, there's a glare, so I can't see the word.
Back. Here's the word cringe in context. So make sure you're listening. When does this happen? Why does it happen? Who does it happen to? Who's saying it? No one really cringes if I bump into them anymore. And people borrow my pencils without acting like the pencil has cooties. So who's saying this? Who is this person talking about? Why is this happening? Why was this happening? Why is it not happening now? That's what you need to listen for. Okay, once you're done writing, go ahead and put away your vocab notebooks. Anybody need me to spell anything one last time? Kingston. Embarrassment. E-M-B-A-R-R-A-S-S-M-E-N-T. Make sure that you are getting in your good listening. Okay, go ahead and open your book to page 204. Put your finger on the first word of page 204, ready to follow along, or your bookmark if you have a bookmark. Sorry, 205. 205. Make sure your finger or your bookmark is ready to follow along. Please scoot your chair in. I've already said this. Now we have to wait. That is not fair to everybody who's been ready. Fingers ready to follow along. Part 6, August. What a piece of work is a man, how noble in reason, how infinite in faculty, in form and moving, how express and admirable, in action, how like an angel, in apprehension, how like a god, the beauty of the world. That's by Shakespeare from the play Hamlet. What do you notice about Hamlet? What do you notice about the word Hamlet? Smith?
It is capitalized.
Well, it's capitalized. What else do you notice about it? Victoria? It's slanted. What is that slanted writing called? Michaela? Italics. Why is Hamlet written in italics? Zari?
Because it's a play.
It's a play, which is a what? You were muted. Sorry. You were muted when you said that. A play is a what? A what? I don't know what you're saying. You're not saying words. Mason, what is a play? A major work. And major works, we know, are written in italics, or for handwriting, how do we write them? Because we can't handwrite italics. What do we do with them if we are handwriting? What do we do with the titles of major works? Come on, guys, we just did this lesson on Monday. This is kind of sad. I guess we're going to have to repeat that too. Michaela, we underline them. If it's a minor work, what do we do? No matter what, whether we're handwriting or typing. Victoria. Not apostrophe. Smith?
We use
Yeah, we're going to have
quotation marks.
quotation marks. Yes, we are going to have to repeat that lesson. I think we're just going to have to repeat everything we did this week, next week. Okay. Go ahead and turn to page 206. Have your finger or your bookmark ready to follow along. I need to see your fingers or your bookmarks on your books. Chapter 1, North Pole. The Spud lamp was a big hit at the science fair. Jack and I got an A for it. It was the first A Jack got in any class all year long, so he was psyched. All the science fair projects were set up on tables in the gym. It was the same setup as the Egyptian Museum back in December, except this time there were volcanoes and molecule dioramas on the tables instead of pyramids and pharaohs. And instead of the kids taking our parents around to look at everybody else's artifact, we had to stand by our tables while all the parents wandered around the room and came over to us one by one. Here's the math on that one. 60 kids in the grade equals 60 sets of parents, and doesn't even include grandparents. So that's a minimum of 120 pairs of eyes that find their way over to me. Eyes that aren't as used to me as their kids' eyes are by now. It's like how compass needles always point north, no matter which way you're facing. All those eyes are compasses, and I'm the North Pole to them. That's why I still don't like school events that include parents. I don't hate them as much as I did at the beginning of the school year, like the Thanksgiving Sharing Festival. That was the worst one, I think. That was the first time I had to face the parents all at once. The Egyptian Museum came after that, but that was okay because I got to dress up as a mummy and nobody noticed me. Then came the winter concert, which I totally hated because I had to sing in the chorus. Not only can I not sing at all, but it felt like I was on display. The New Year art show wasn't quite as bad, but it was still annoying. They put up our artwork in the hallways all over the school and had the parents come and check it out. It was like starting school all over again, having unsuspecting adults pass me on the stairway. Anyway, it's not that I care that people react to me. Like I've said a gazillion times. I'm used to that by now. I don't let it bother me. It's like when you go outside and it's drizzling a little. You don't put on boots for a drizzle. You don't even open your umbrella. You walk through it and barely notice your hair getting wet. Make sure your heads are up. If you're scooted in all the way, you can't put your head down because it's uncomfortable. But when it's a huge gym full of parents, the drizzle becomes like this total hurricane. Everyone's eyes hit you like a wall of water. Mom and Dad hang around my table a lot, along with Jack's parents. It's kind of funny how parents actually end up forming the same little groups their kids form. Like my parents and Jack's and Summer's mom all like and get along with each other. And I see Julian's parents hang out with Henry's parents and Miles' parents. And even the two Max's parents hang out together. It's so funny. I told Mom and Dad about it later when we were walking home, and they thought it was a funny observation. I guess it's true that like seeks like, said Mom. Hey, Zari, I forgot to say this earlier, but make sure to turn your camera down so I can see you in what you're reading, okay? Ethan, please sit. That's dangerous to sit that way. That's how you end up falling. Chapter 2. The Augie Doll. For a while, the war was all we talked about. February was when it was really at its worst. That's when practically nobody was talking to us, and Julian had started leaving notes in our lockers. The notes to Jack were stupid, like, "You stink, Big Cheese," and "Nobody likes you anymore." I got notes like "Freak," and another that said, "Get out of our school, orc." Summer thought we should report the notes to Miss Rubin, who is the middle school dean, or even Mr. Tushman, but we thought that would be like snitching. Anyway, it's not like we didn't leave notes too, though ours weren't really mean. They were kind of funny and sarcastic. One was, "You're so pretty, Julian. I love you. Will you marry me? Love, Beulah." Another one was, "Love your hair. XOX, Beulah." Another was, "You're a babe. Tickle my feet. XO, Beulah." Beulah was a made-up person that me and Jack came up with. She had totally gross habits, like eating the green stuff in between her toes and sucking on her knuckles. And we figured someone like that would have a real crush on Julian, who looked and acted like someone in a Kids Bop commercial. There were also a couple of times in February when Julian, Miles, and Henry played tricks on Jack. They didn't play tricks on me, I think, because they knew that if they got caught bullying me, It would be big time trouble for them. Jack, they figured, was an easier target. So one time they stole his gym shorts and played monkey in the middle with them in the locker room. Another time, Miles, who sat next to Jack in homeroom, swiped Jack's worksheet off his desk, crumbled it into a ball, and tossed it to Julian across the room. This wouldn't have happened if Miss Petosa had been there, of course. But there was a substitute teacher that day, and subs never really know what's going on. Jack was good about this stuff. He never let them see he was upset, though I think sometimes he was. The other kids in the grade knew about the war. Except for Savannah's group, the girls were neutral at first. But by March, they were getting sick of it. And so were some of the boys. Like another time when Julian was dumping some pencil sharpener shavings into Jack's backpack, Amos, who was usually tight with them, grabbed the backpack out of Julian's hands and returned it to Jack. It was starting to feel like the majority of boys weren't buying into Julian anymore. Then, a few weeks ago, Julian started spreading this ridiculous rumor that Jack had hired some hitman to get him and Miles and Henry. This lie was so pathetic that people were actually laughing about him behind his back. At that point, any boys who had still been on his side now jumped ship and were clearly neutral. So by the end of March, only Miles and Henry were on Julian's side. And I think even they were getting tired of the war by then. What is Julian talking about when he says that Jack hired some hitman to get him and Miles and Henry? Kingston, what's he talking about?
Yeah, he's trying to say Jack hired it.
Well, but what situation is he? Is he just lying? Aaron?
No, because Justin, he came up to them and told them not to mess with Jack.
Good. So Julian's not actually lying. He just doesn't know the whole situation, because who came up to him and Miles and Henry and acted like he was going to get them? Zadie, let me get, because you heard, Aaron. Smith, who was it? Justin. So Julian's actually kind of telling the truth, or at least what he thinks is the truth, but of course it's so ridiculous that nobody believes him. Because what 5th grader is going to hire a hitman to get somebody else? None. Okay. I'm pretty sure everyone stopped playing the play game behind my back, too. No one really cringes if I bump into them anymore. And people borrow my pencils without acting like the pencil has cooties. People even joke around with me now sometimes. Like the other day, I saw Maya writing a note to Ellie on a piece of Ugly Doll stationery. And I don't know why, but I just kind of randomly said, "Did you know the guy who created the Ugly Dolls based them on me?" Maya looked at me with her eyes wide open, like she totally believed me. Then, when she realized I was only kidding, she thought it was the funniest thing in the world. "You are so funny, August," she said. And then she told Ellie and some of the other girls what I had just said, and they all thought it was funny too. Like at first they were shocked, but then when they saw I was laughing about it, they knew it was okay to laugh about it too. And the next day, I found a little Ugly Doll keychain sitting on my chair with a nice little note from Maya that said, "For the nicest Augie doll in the world. XO, Maya." 6 months ago, stuff like that would never have happened. But now it happens more and more. Also, people have been really nice about the hearing aids I started wearing. When Maya gave August that keychain, was she being mean by giving him an Ugly Doll keychain? Mason? No. What was she doing? She was being nice. She gave him a gift. It was just a little joke that August had started. So August said, as a joke, just trying to show that he doesn't care what people think. They based this Ugly Doll off of me. And so Maya, who realized August is a cool kid, gave him a little gift that was just like an inside joke. Okay, make sure you're following along. Make sure you're sitting up straight. Chapter 3, Lobot. Ever since I was little, the doctors told my parents that someday I'd need hearing aids. I don't know why this always freaked me out a bit. Maybe because anything to do with my ears bothers me a lot. My hearing was getting worse, but I hadn't told anyone about it. The ocean sound that was always in my head had been getting louder. It was drowning out people's voices, like I was underwater. I couldn't hear teachers if I sat in the back of the class, but I knew if I told Mom or Dad about it, I'd end up with hearing aids. And I was hoping I could make it through 5th grade without having that happen. But then, in my annual checkup in October, I flunked the audiology test, and the doctor was like, "Dude, it's time." And he sent me to a special ear doctor who took impressions of my ears. Out of all of my features, my ears are the ones I hate the most. They're like tiny closed fists on the sides of my face. They're too low on my head, too. They look like squashed pieces of pizza dough sticking out of the top of my neck or something. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating a little, but I really hate them. When the ear doctor first pulled the hearing aids out for me and Mom to look at, I groaned. "I'm not wearing that thing," I announced, folding my arms in front of me. "I know they probably look kind of big," said the ear doctor, "but we had to attach them to the headband because we have no other way of making them so they'd stay on your ears." See, normal hearing aids usually have a part that wraps around the outer ear to hold the inner bud in place. But in my case, since I don't have outer ears, they had to put the earbuds on this heavy-duty headband that was supposed to wrap around the back of my head. "I can't wear that, Mom," I whined. "You'll hardly notice them," said Mom, trying to be cheerful. "They look like headphones." "Headphones? Look at them, Mom," I said angrily. "I'll look like Lobot." "Which one is Lobot?" said Mom calmly. "Lobot?" The ear doctor smiled as he looked at the headphones and made some adjustments. "The Empire Strikes Back? The bald guy with the cool bionic radio transmitter thing that wraps around the back of his skull? Make sure you're sitting up, please." "I'm drawing a blank," said Mom. "You know Star Wars stuff?" I asked the ear doctor. "No Star Wars stuff," he answered, slipping the thing over my head. "I practically invented Star Wars stuff." He leaned back in his chair to see how the headband fit, and then took it off again. "Now, Augie, I want to explain what all this is," he said, pointing to the different parts of the hearing aids. "This curved piece of plastic over here connects to the tubing on the ear mold. That's why we took those impressions back in December, so that this part goes inside your ear, fits nice and snug. This part here is called the tone hook, okay? And this thing is the special part where we've attached this cradle here." "The Lobot part," I said miserably. "Hey, Lobot is cool," said the ear doctor. "It's not like we're saying you're going to look like Jar Jar, you know? That would be bad." He slid the earphones on my head again carefully. "There you go, August. So how's that?" "Totally uncomfortable," I said. "You'll get used to them very quickly," he said. I looked in the mirror. My eyes started tearing up. All I saw were these tubes jutting out from either side of my head, like antennas. "Do I really have to wear this, Mom?" I said, trying not to cry. "I hate them. They don't make any difference." "Give it a second, buddy," said the doctor. "I haven't even turned them on yet. Wait until you hear the difference. You'll want to wear them." "No, I won't." And then he turned them on. Chapter 4. Hearing Brightly. How can I describe what I heard when the doctor turned on my hearing aids? Or what I didn't hear? It's too hard to think of words. The ocean just wasn't living inside my head anymore. It was gone. I could hear sounds like shiny lights in my brain. It was like when you're in a room where one of the light bulbs on the ceiling isn't working, but you don't realize how dark it is until someone changes the light bulb, and then you're like, "Whoa, it's so bright in here." I don't know if there's a word that means the same thing as bright in terms of hearing, but I wish I knew one, because my ears were hearing brightly now. "How does it sound, Augie?" said the ear doctor. "Can you hear me okay, buddy?" I looked at him and smiled, but I didn't answer. "Sweetie, do you hear anything different?" said Mom. "You don't have to shout, Mom." I nodded happily. "Are you hearing better?" asked the ear doctor. "I don't hear that noise anymore," I answered. "It's so quiet in my ears." "The white noise is gone," he said, nodding. He looked at me and winked. "I told you you'd like what you heard, August." He made more adjustments on the left hearing aid. Does it sound very different, love? Mom asked. Yeah, I nodded. It sounds lighter. That's because you have bionic hearing now, buddy, said the ear doctor, adjusting the right side. Now touch here. He put my hand behind the hearing aid. Do you feel that? That's the volume. You have to find the volume that works for you. We're going to do that next. Well, what do you think? He picked up a small mirror and had me look in the big mirror at how the hearing aids looked in the back. My hair covered most of the headband. The only part that peeked out was the tubing. Are you okay with your new bionic Lobot hearing aids? The ear doctor asked, looking in the mirror at me. Yeah, I said. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. James, said Mom. The first day I showed up at school with the hearing aids, I thought kids would make a big deal about it. But no one did. Summer was glad I could hear better, and Jack said it made me look like an FBI agent or something. But that was it. Mr. Brown asked me about it in English class, but it wasn't like, what the heck is that thing on your head? It was more like, if you ever need me to repeat something, Augie, make sure you tell me, okay? Now that I look back, I don't know why I was so stressed about it all this time. Funny how sometimes you worry a lot about something that turns out to be nothing. Okay, who heard observation? Who made the observation and what was the observation? Carla. And see, everybody's waiting for somebody else to answer.
The observation was about August talking to his parents and saying that the other parents was doing something funny.
Good start. What were they doing? What was so yes, you are correct. August made the observation. He told his parents about it, and it was about parents. But what was the exact observation? Thank you, Carla. Now, people had no idea until you said that. So thank you for leading everyone in the right direction. Thank you for listening and paying attention and leading everybody in the right direction. Kingston, what was the observation about the other parents or about parents in general?
Well, it was about how the other kids' parents were in the same group as the kids.
What do you mean by group? So the other kids' parents, Kingston said, good. Kingston said the other kids' parents were in groups that were the same as their kids' groups. What do you mean groups? Were they put in those groups?
No, they brought into the groups like kids were. They kind of like joined together as the kids like.
Okay. As what? Join together as what? Victoria? Friends. So good. What he was saying, the observation he made was that the kids' parents end up being friends with the same people that their kids are friends with. So the kids become friends, then their parents become friends. Good. Okay, who heard cringes or cringe? Who heard cringe? Smith.
August was saying that when other people come up to him, they don't cringe like he's sick or something.
Good. So they don't treat him like they did. So is the plague still happening? No. Do you think everybody has stopped playing the plague? Who do you think may still be playing the plague? Zari. Julian. But everybody else has stopped. Okay, good. Okay, number 1 says, to what does August compare all of the eyes at the science fair? So what is he comparing all of those eyes to? Why does he make this comparison? So what's going on that makes him make this comparison? Why would he compare all the eyes to this thing? Why would he choose this to compare everybody's eyes to? Does everybody understand number 1? Number 2. Please make sure you're paying attention. Number 2, between March and February, explain what changes in the war. And that's supposed to be a period, not a question mark, because it's not a question, it's a command. It's telling you what changes in the war between March and February. So when you write that, make sure you write a period. Because remember, make sure you're writing these questions exactly as they appear up here, otherwise you lose points. Does everybody understand number 2? Number 3, what do you think is the significance of Maya's note and gift to Augie? Significance is a synonym for importance. So what is important? What is so significant or important about Maya giving a note and gift to Augie? Especially what it is. What is that gift? What does that note say? Why is that important? Number 4, does everybody understand number 3? Number 4, describe how August's hearing aids look. So that means, what do they look like? What does he look like in them? How does he feel about them? How does he react when he first sees them? So that first time he sees them, not later on, but when he very first sees them and then the doctor puts them on, that very first time, how does he react? What does he say? What does he do? How does he feel about them? At first, not later on. Number 5, how does August feel when he hears with his new hearing aids? So number 5 is after this. Number 4 is before number 5 happens. Then number 5 happens, and how does he feel now? So basically this is a before and after. Before they turn the hearing aids on, how does he feel about them? How does he react to them? After the doctor turns the hearing aids on and he hears with them, how does he feel now? Does everybody understand number 4 and 5? Does everybody understand the questions? Okay, you're going to have about 10 minutes now and then 10 minutes after lunch. So make sure that you are answering with at least 2 complete sentences. That means 2 or more. Some of them will require more than that. Make sure that you are giving well thought out answers. Use text evidence when needed, but do not rely 100% on text evidence. Because again, I know what the book says. I want to know what you think and what you say. Use correct grammar. Make sure that you are really thinking and trying, because more and more points are being taken off. I'll be grading these over Thanksgiving break. Okay, any questions? Mason?
If you do number 4, do you have to do number 5?
No, but it might be a good, it might help you to really think of good answers to do number 4 and then to do number 5, but you do not have to. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start the timer. You have 10 minutes. Go. When the 10 minutes are up, we're going to stop. You can finish your thought later.